That's Mike.
That's Toya. And this is
And this
Tech
is Tech
Pieces
Beats and
Bites.
Bytes.
Told you she still can't do it.
It sounds on time to me.
How? How does that sound on time?
It's called the internet.
Whatever. What's going on? What's going on?
Listen, this is my vibe today. If y'all can see what I'm saying.
Hey,
Just
I'm with
I'm
you.
just
Um, I'm with you. I'm right there.
mm, on struggle.
Look,
But I'm good otherwise. I am good otherwise.
I'm not. I'm not good. Uh, nothing is good right now. I'm tired. Uh, I'm exhausted. I am mentally over it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, I'm mad. I am discouraged. I am frustrated, and then everything else you can add in there. I'm all that. So, but as angry as I am, the one thing that I decided to do was to make sure we still did the show today.
Yeah.
Because there's some people that don't have the platform. Um, there's some people that can't speak or don't even have the energy to speak. So I figured the best thing for us to do would be to push through.
Absolutely.
So I want to save that part for the end because I'm probably going to just snap and carry it on through to the rest of the stuff I got to say. But there's a lot to say today, a lot to
Yeah.
get. But let's go ahead and talk about Agent Orange in the tech world and the pesky facts. We've actually put together notes for the first time in a long time, so I am personally excited about that. It's been a while since we have done notes. Um, but real quick, so Trump has threatened to close down social media platforms, which he claims silences conservative voices, which I find interesting unless he's already admitting that conservative voices are the only ones that consistently lie on Facebook and Twitter. Um, so Donald Trump has threatened to close down social media platforms that do not support his agenda a day after Twitter posted a fact-checking notice on one of his tweets. So, as we continue this, social media firms suppress conservative point of views, the president claimed. This is not true. This is what the president has claimed without providing any evidence, not that he's ever provided any evidence, before saying his administration would strongly regulate. You're not going to regulate a privately owned tech company. The companies or close them down, have no way in hell understanding how he plans on closing down Twitter before we can ever allow this to happen. So Trump has advised the company, also known as Twitter, shout out to Jack Dorsey, to clean up your act now. Want to give me any feedback on that, Toy?
Uh, so again, I think this is just a message for the day. Bring my coffee cup back up. This is the message for the day. So we live in a land that is so hypocritical, right? So this is supposed to be the land of the free thought, free speech, free press, and he's trying to silence and control a private entity that does not agree with him on his stance, and is actually fact checking to be like, pause, wait a minute, what you just tweeted, that ain't quite it. Let's really share what the information is. It's just a nod and a huge wink. Like you got to be like not looking and blind to not see what's going on.
Right.
That the times that we're like living in, and people like to say, the freedom of the internet, and it's such a great time to be alive right now, but is it? I know the other day, I think it was yesterday, I saw people were posting like the old school black and white picture that had a banner outside that said like a man was lynched or something like that is what's on the banner. And it just takes you back to where, so really, are we kind of like recycling? Are we truly getting into that phase of the make America great again era that they so wanted to take us back to? Because America wasn't great for everybody. And when you just look at what's going on and even that stance, where are we truly going? And what does that look like? Which is why I mentioned on my feed today about you got to know the wolf, right? The wolf has the same tricks. The wolf is a wolf is a wolf. And it's time that we know it, understand it in order to catch it. And we can't be blind to it. We have to be strategic and have a long vision when it comes to this game that we're playing. Because it's real. It is
Mhm.
real out here. It is so real. And we cannot just go idly by and see the signs and not do anything about it.
Yeah, and I think I saw one where they actually updated it where it says the police lynched a man yesterday. And
Mm,
I thought that was very effective and very powerful. It reminded me of the constant agenda that I've tried to push with a design component, which was the only person that actually picked it up was Michelle Talbert. And Michelle Talbert adapted one of the designs. I had constantly designed this remake of the Iron Man. Um,
mm-hmm.
Iron Man with what was that, the sanitation protest from 1965, I believe.
Yep.
And her design for No Small Business Left Behind, her summit, is the same fonts and the same kind of like technique and lettering of the Iron Man. And I've pushed that to other organizations. And it was funny because other organizations were like, oh, I don't know, that's kind of radical, that's too strong. And I always find it funny that even organizations that have the name Black in them or supposed to be supporting our agenda find it too radical to be strongly Black. And I've always find that to be interesting. Like, how is being Black too radical? Or when did becoming Black become radical? Um, I've just never heard somebody say tone down your Republican or tone down your Spanish or tone down your Cuban, but you have to tone down Black all the time. There's a reason why printers have cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Black is known as K and CMYK. And
Mm-hmm.
black is just one of the most pure and authentic things that pretty much is needed to make all the other colors, no matter what you look at. But yet they always want to tone it down. So going back to what Trump said, just so people out there know, Twitter's fact checking notice was posted on a previous Trump tweet that claimed mail in ballots could allow widespread voter fraud. It immediately led to a presidential eruption accusing the platform of completely stifling free speech. So I guess free speech to Trump is we can lie about shit for democracy and what's actually affecting our government without actually having any facts because we just don't want to lose and get kicked out of the White House.
Yeah. Basically, I mean, it's just he is he's a showman, right? He's like the WWE of presidents, and you have to understand how he uses marketing. Like he literally uses tools to help his message and his whole agenda, right? And so when you think about that tactic, the more that you tell a false narrative, the truer it becomes to the people. So then
Right.
it confuses everybody, and they're like, "No, that is right. The sky is purple." Like they keep saying the sky is purple. I thought this was blue, but look, maybe blue just isn't blue anymore. And then you just start to fall into this rabbit hole where you can't quite tell what truth is. And going back to your point about toning down blackness, a lot of times you have to follow the money. You have to follow where the money is coming from that is often funding some of these organizations to know why and what their agendas are and if they are truly moving and saying and doing what they are supposed to be doing. There are tons of documentaries out there that talk about sort of the infiltration and how major corporations or major entities play both sides of the game. They'll be on one side and then they'll also have the antithesis of that side. It's like hedging your bets. So,
Mm.
and it keeps the chaos going. So you don't quite know what you're paying attention to and what you're watching because it's strong from both sides. And oftentimes it's the same person behind everything. So that just goes back to research. Know the wolf.
And also, as one of the points that Dante has just made, he's switching over the postmaster. And the postmaster general that will start June 15th, Louis DeJoy, which is also a Trump supporter. So I'm wondering, how do we even regulate and make sure things are safe? I'm not worried about voter fraud, Donald Trump. Um, what I am worried about is loss of votes and just boxes and boxes of votes being kept
Mm-hmm.
in a shelf or in a box somewhere because that's the kind of stuff you do.
Yeah.
And
And
my
you know
thing is,
the trickery that's gonna happen about the signatures and just all the kind of stuff that's about to come.
right, it's gonna be horrible. I just hope we figure out a way to make it work, and I hope that people find a way to pull it back together and trust in. It's just so hard to trust in the system. I mean, it's hard for me to have this conversation to talk about trusting in the system as I think about it. But I just feel we have to figure out a way to get past Donald Trump because Donald Trump is no different than having a conversation with someone that doesn't care about facts, but it's all an emotional geared conversation to whatever their agenda is. So they don't read, they don't research, and everything is just based off of their opinion that is normally construed within their head without any other feedback. And that's so dangerous because he's the fucking president. Like it's different, you know, to me, like Donald Trump is the guy that wants to keep having the debate of whether Biggie was better than Tupac, but they've never listened to the music. That's how I feel about Donald Trump. And so he's getting into people's head like all of the music sucks. Actually, I made the best album, but you've just never heard it. That's how I feel he is. And nobody on the right, or I don't know, it's like nobody that's a Republican that supports him has the ability or the capacity to state, yes, I vote for him for these reasons, but these are the 20 things he's absolutely doing wrong, but we're trying to figure out a way to fix it. It's almost like they've just come complacent with the errors that he's making, not looking at the damage that it's causing. And I think that's the part that angers me, where it's hard for me to have somebody that considers themselves a friend or an ally that can, it's at a point that I don't see how you can support Trump and say you have the best interest for me in your mind if you're a Trump supporter. I just can't put the two and two together anymore. Like I tried it the first year and a half, but I can't do it anymore. And maybe somebody can convince me, but I don't see how you can support him and have the best of interest, all the way down to the fact of Cuomo releasing the numbers of how much more certain states give to the GDP and give to the government versus the Republican states that take more, and Florida being one of them. But Rick Scott is trying to say that they don't need to support New York. Like, bro, you spent $77 million on a website that still doesn't work, but you complaining about who gets supported. So I'm just drained. I'm drained. And that's we've only made it through 17 minutes of the show.
Listen, no, I feel you. That's why this space is real minimal. You know, usually I try to put on a little shine, a little something. Look, I was like, they gonna get some eyeliner today, and not even any mascara. But no, and I think, and to that point though, the reason why when we opened up, I said that I was good is because, as angry as I am, especially as a Black mother, a Black woman in this country, I'm here, right?
Right.
And we can give voice to what's going on, and we can give our opinion, and we can give resources and continue to add to the discussion and to the dialogue and put actions into place. So for me, which is also a reason why everything's intentional today, which is why I wore this shirt today, because it's about growth, right? Tragedies, we can make great things happen out of tragedies. How can we grow from this? How can we move forward? What can we do to ensure that tomorrow is not like yesterday? That's the basis of alchemy. You always want to continue to evolve and grow. So we need to be good, because if we stay in our emotions too long, then we become weak to and prey. We have to level up and pay attention and get smart and strategic about how we move forward. But that's also a little bit later in these streets.
Well, I'm definitely becoming weak.
No, and it's hard. It's hard. It's emotionally draining. It is so hard. So hard.
I gotta do something, because like they say, this right here, this ain't it. And this is not it.
Yeah.
But a little positive news for our entrepreneurs that are joining us in the tech world. We thought we would share some information with you that just seemed a little bit better. Because right now, a lot of people are sitting at home, stuck in front of their computers, their laptops, their phones. So we just want to give you guys 8 ways to grow your audience to 1 million followers. Just a little something for our entrepreneurs out there, because we know the entrepreneurs out there are still fighting. And I had to give some advice to someone that's selling PPE and masks and things like that. And I asked her, I was like, well, how are you getting your message to people? And she sent me basically a little graphic. And I was like, that's not enough in a noisy world where you're competing against so many people. You have to figure out a way to make this very personal. You have to directly respond to people. And I was like, also, if you're responding to, I was like, how many people are you responding to? And she didn't give me a number. I was like, well, look, if you're responding to 10, you need to be responding to 100, because out of 100, only 10% may actually get you a sale. So if you're responding to 10, you have a 1% chance, a 10% chance, which is one person might buy your stuff. So just some quick things and some quick facts for everybody out there. Use the right hashtags. I know a lot of people are going to be very tempted to use the George Floyd hashtag right now. If you ain't talking about social justice or anything, that's not the hashtag to use at this point. Follow and engage with other users in your niche. Liking posts is not enough. You actually need to respond, have something to say, make sure they see your name, hopefully get a response from them. Post regular and post high quality content. Regular is not once a week. Right now for these algorithms and for social media, I would give you the benefit of the doubt to say that regular averages around 3 posts a day. If not, you at least need a post a day. Post your content at the right time. I have a big problem with this because sometimes I don't care. I will post stuff at 2:00 in the morning. Not too many people are looking at your stuff at 2:00 in the morning. Try to be aware of your audience. Follow your competitors' followers. This is another thing about love the haters. You need to know what other people are doing, and you need to know what's drawing these followers to that competitor. Drive traffic from other platforms, which means know which platforms you're using, know which content you're using to drive people and push people in different ways. Market your hashtags. Cosmology has some great hashtags, focus around natural hair. One of the new hashtags for Medium 4 is been dope, you late. That's going to become a t-shirt. So just get some stuff like that, and use pro insights and analytical tools to your advantage. And if you don't know how to use those tools, hire Latoya or hire Medium 4 and get your actual social media marketing company to get your stuff out. So that's the little bit of positive that we have today. That's my
little business sprinkle.
You got it, because I still want to make it Tech Beats and Bytes. I don't want it to become the Michael and Latoya vent show, but end up
Sometimes
calling
you got to vent.
it end up being emotions versus Tech Beats and Bytes. Speaking of, let's get into the music industry, beats. One of the good things we saw, and yes, everybody, we're definitely going to be talking about COVID-19 and George Floyd, but we're saving that to the end because it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. The Versus Impact. So did you get to watch Beanie Man and Bounty Killer and then?
Yes. So yes, for Beanie Man and Bounty Killer, they killed it. That was a great one. 112 and Jagged Edge. I was a little bit disappointed. I was really looking forward to that one.
So the funny thing,
it was lackluster. It was lackluster. I was like, and then 2 of the 112 members didn't show up because they have a lawsuit. It was like, what is going on? But
so I watched some of Beanie Man and Bounty Killer.
Mm-hmm.
I understand all the enthusiasm and all the effort, but at the end of the day, I'm still from the South. I'm from Alabama. I don't know what the hell they be saying. All I can listen to is the beat. I guess it's like somebody from New York listening to country drawl when you really get drunk and you really talking country. I don't know what they're saying. The music sounds amazing. I have no idea what they're saying. I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there. And I know Stephanie is probably watching this and laughing, and my Jamaican friends. I mean, hell, my wife is from the island. I don't know what they be saying. Sounds fun. Sounds like everybody's having a great time, but I don't know what the hell they be talking about. So one day y'all gonna have to. I don't know. I need a cheat sheet for patois, everything else y'all be saying, because I don't get it. So like, it sounded fun, but the best thing that came out of front of me was Beanie Man getting bullied and having to go work out. I thought that was
He was working that belly though. I did not know Beanie Man was such a character. Like you see it in the music videos a little bit, but he was giving us full personality, and I was
Right.
here for it. He was giving it. He was giving it. And then the police came. It was a whole show.
Oh, that was, and I caught that part. Like, do you want to be that guy? Do you want to be that guy?
Right. We got 500,000 people.
And I was like, man, could we turn that into like an anti-Trump campaign? Like, do you want to be that guy? do you want to be the guy that bought down the whole company? So, all right. Now going on to 112 versus Jagged Edge. I've only really known Jagged Edge to have 3 hits, and to me, none of the twins can actually sing. So I don't see how that was even supposed to be a competition. Because Room 112 and that first 112, that first album is pretty much hits all the way through the album. That's when Puffy was really messing with Stevie J. That's hit makers. I don't even see how that was supposed to be a competition. But the impact numbers have continued to grow. And it seems like, once again, you have 2 R&B artists that the younger generation totally didn't know about, and their numbers are skyrocketing again. So
well,
I just hope by this point that whatever Swiss is doing to make money. But see, that's the other thing. A lot of people have been talking about that, and I want to address that real quick. I've determined Swiss probably doesn't care about making money, because Swiss is the one trying to raise money to give to the hip hop pioneers. And with the other stuff he does, I'm thinking maybe it was just a dope idea and he's just running with it. And as long as the other artists are benefiting, this is almost his way of paying it forward.
Yeah, I think at least for right now, until it's formalized, right? So for right now, it's that free content. It's the like, yeah, come play with us, join us. We giving you free content. You know, nothing to do during Corona. But then how does that move forward? It's going to be interesting to see how they turn it. Because they talked about it's a business now, right? They own 100% him and Tim. And so I'm interested to see how it grows and what they turn it into. It's going to be cool, I think.
I think it'll be
hopefully
dope.
It's more than a concert tour, too. Hopefully it's just not like a tour.
I was about to say, I hope they strategically find a way to partner with Live Nation or Rock Nation, and these same versus battles, you start taking these people on tour, and these people, like you said, they start performing back and forth with each other. You know what I'm saying? So some of those B artists that you know can't fill up a stadium, they could do a lot more damage if it was more than just them in there. So basically, also for an update that came from BET is that while Swiss Beats and Timbaland are refusing profiting off of verses, so they're not profiting off of it, but during a recent Instagram Live, Swiss revealed that they were offered millions to sell 50% of the enterprise. So they have been offered money to sell the brand. But
yeah, he said they own 100%.
Okay, so just for the statement, he said, we haven't made 1 cent off of verses. That doesn't mean that we're not about the business, he continued, but what we have is a museum. Versus is a museum. So they're using a platform to say that the platform itself is more educational and a celebrational platform. And like he said, what Beanie Man and Bounty Killer did was iconic. It works out. So I think, it's just exposure for the culture, and sometimes that's what you have to.
Exactly. And when you think about sort of what Swiss does, he's into art anyway. He comes out here during Basel and does whole shows. Right. So he's into that idea of preserving culture and displaying it, etc. So I think if they turn it into something more like that, to where you are bringing back names, because that's one of the things that we talk about in Black music, Black culture anyway, is how quickly we sort of dismiss and throw away our artists, whereas Rolling Stones and all these other rock artists continue to perform and sell out all the time. So this is his way of being like, no, they do great music. Like, you need to see where this stuff comes from, where your inspiration comes from. And it's beautiful to see that because of this exposure, all these artists are leveling up in terms of their social media presence. So it's dope.
And I didn't mean to cut you off, but the one part that you were about to mention was, if people don't know, if you haven't been down here to Art Basel and the different platforms, he does a show called No Commission where it's one of the
Right.
few art shows in during Art Basel weekend where he doesn't take any commission off of any of the art sold. So it's kind of one of those things like I'm already rich. There's no need for me to be greedy. I just love the culture of music and art, so I'm going to help expand it.
Exactly.
Um, so this is something interesting for the entertainment side of the world that I was meaning to discuss. I think I've had this conversation offline with Dante, and I know I've had
Hmm.
it offline with David. So how will returning sport league disclose COVID-19 to prevent insider bet? That's the headline. The way that should have read is they not trying to bring back sports because y'all bored. The bookies need to make their money and gambling in the house is losing right now. I kept trying to explain to people the importance of sports coming back is not just because people want to watch sports. It's the billions of dollars made on the back end from gambling that is being missed right now. And there's a ton of money being missed. Because you got to understand, right now they're in a position where even if they play in these bubbles that they're talking about, which would be Orlando and Vegas, you got to think of how the bet is if now somebody gets an insider tip that says LeBron James just tested positive, so he can't play for 14 days. And now he's on the bench for 14 days and they got an upcoming game. How does that change the bet and how does that change the gamble? So I want to read some of the information real quick. This came from Yahoo Sports. In 2 weeks, the PGA will hold its first tournament since the coronavirus shutdown, and around 140 golfers will be walking the Colonial. Hold on. I just, my mind just went to Colonizers Country Golf Club.
That's what it was. You weren't welcome there not too long ago. That's
I'm
not
so
funny.
sorry. Of course, in Fort Worth, Texas, other sports organizations, including the NBA and the NHL, are expected to follow suit in the near future. So here's a couple of points. First, sport leagues often require teams to periodically and publicly report injury status of their players. COVID-19, however, presents unique challenges to their regulatory framework, even without considering privacy issues. The situation will likely arise again, even if testing improves and games resume in a bubble city. In addition, information about athletes who have already recovered may enable gamblers to predict which teams or athletes will be least affected by the virus. Tipping, i.e., disclosing inside information that might be used by gamblers. The NBA, WNBA, NFL, LPGA, NCAA, and PGA Tour are among the sports organizations that have established such rules. All of the rules pertain to either explicitly or implicitly to information about the athlete's health. But this mechanism also presents issue when it comes to COVID-19. So it seems the struggles they're going through is not just playing and keeping the players safe. It seems the real struggle is how do we not affect the gambling world when we bring sports back online?
Yeah.
And that seems to be the most selfish thing in the world. So now I'm wondering who's really calling Trump like we need sports to go, because is it that bookie and is it that person somebody's been gambling with that's in the White House or some political person and they're like, I'm losing money, and if y'all don't force to get this back online, I'm going to let people know that you have a gambling problem kind of thing? You know, or as Michael Jordan said, I'm just ultra competitive. No, nigga, you got a gambling problem. It ain't nothing competitive about going to the casino at 2 o'clock in the morning when you got a game the next day.
Right, that's an itch you got to scratch. Um, so yeah, no, I think again, look, we know this country, and it's run by money. It is run by money. It's based on capitalism. It is based on just, especially like illegal money, right? That's why Americans love gangsters, and then they try to act like, oh, we law and order. No, you're not.
No.
No, you're not. You law and order for those who you want to be law and order with. You got loopholes for everybody else. Yeah, we know what
Uh,
it is.
was it Martin Luther King? If the social injustice, if one bothers you, you're more worried about order than justice. So I know y'all have been waiting for this. Dion, I see that you're on, and the other people that are on. I'm tired as hell, but let's just go ahead and get into the George Floyd thing. For those that may not know, because some of us do not watch the news and we stay away from negative content, George Floyd was murdered yesterday in Minnesota. by asphyxiation to his throat. He was basically choked to death. Some would know it or be able to identify it with a jitsu move. Three officers held him down for a non-violent crime that they were not confirmed or did not know if he was actually guilty of the crime. The store owner called it in. The officers came. Three officers held him down. One officer stood there and talked to people to keep them off as the bystanders pled for his life. And he had his knee on his neck, cutting off his circulation, driving him to be unconscious. And he kept his knee there for over 3.5 minutes, which is all documented in a streaming video. If I cry today, I just cry. The first thing I thought about was, would I really be able to sit there and just film, or would I have charged and kicked that police officer and took my chances at going to court? That was my first thought. Like, are we doing too much shit for likes and comments, and should we be thinking like the 60s and say fuck the cameras and start fucking some of these people up? The other part of me was just like, I don't even have the energy to talk about Karen, also known as Amy Cooper. Why? Like, how do you sit there, even if the man is telling you can't breathe, and is even in the position of having control, you can't do that much with your neck, right? All that power is coming from your upper body and your shoulders. I understand that. Strength and power. What is I can't think of the move, but I know I can lift almost 315 pounds doing that. So there's a lot of strength right here in your traps and everything like that. Mm-hmm. So even if you were to put your knee down on somebody to hold them down, it would be below their neck. It wouldn't be directly on their neck and directly on their throat. Like, the part that bothered me the most was seeing the second video where somebody walked up, and this shows where there's 4 officers, and he readjusts his knee to put it right on his neck. And he didn't flinch, man. He had his hands right there. And the part that just broke me was when the guy goes unconscious and you can see the spit coming from his mouth and he's not moving. He's just looking down on him. He never once puts his hand down to check his pulse. Just no compassion, no empathy for human life. And I've never went to war, but I feel I have PTSD from the shit that I've seen over the last 5 or 7 years, starting with Trayvon. I've never had the fears and the pain that I've suffered since Trayvon Martin. Life was just easier then. Like, social media has been a blessing and a fucking horror story for being a black man. And it's like, I have the fear of dying, but I have the fear of the pain my wife, my mother, my sister, my friends could go through if I die because of some shit like that.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
No, I know. And virtual hugs. Virtual hugs. I know it's tough. So Ida B. Wells is like one of my favorite people in history. And she was one of those who narrated and told the stories that they did not want to tell. She was the one who would write about the lynchings and share that information because it needed to be told, it needed to be heard, it needed to be documented. And social media is kind of like in that space right now, right? And to your point, it's a bit of it's overload. But just think about what that was like in the 30s and the 40s, and even before that for our people. We didn't have it in our face like we do now, but we knew it. It was right. Our uncles, or it was our grandfathers. You know, just for being accused, going back to the Amy Cooper thing, Good thing he did have a camera, because if it was in a different time, he could have easily been snatched up and hung from a tree. Um, and you talked about why. Why does this continue to happen? It happens because there's a nasty, evil undercurrent, and it exists because it has not been dealt with, and it continues to proliferate. It continues to bring like-minded people together. There's a nastiness that exists. And if we continue to just move about as if it's no longer here, this post-racial society that they talk about, that shit ain't real. It ain't never go nowhere, because it was never exposed to the light. It never has had to reconcile and deal with what it has done for years. And because of that, it can continue to do what it's doing. And that goes back to the point about, what can we do? How can we move? What needs to happen? It's so much that needs to happen in order to rectify and make good on what is here. I mean, because you have people who have that mentality. You could see it in his face. He enjoyed what he was doing. There was no pain. There was no sense of remorse. The guy was completely unable to do anything. George was unable to do anything in that moment. And you had to continue to restrain him for what? Like, for what? Oh, no, because you wanted to. Because you took joy in what you were doing. Let's not forget how the police department started. It was for slave catching. And it just continued to evolve over the years. We have to remember what these things are and treat them as such. Let's not act as if we don't know. This thing looks the same through centuries. It did it in Australia. It killed Aboriginal people. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing, and it moves the same way. We have to level up. We have to be strategic. We have to see it for what it is and not continue to just be like, no, know it. Study it, because trust me, it studies you.
I mean, I wrote this down in the notes, and you might have seen it. I know Dante came into the file, but like, I just want to ask a question to white America. Why are y'all so scared of black men? What boogeyman stories were told about black men that make us so intimidating and so scary? Because even statistically, like 85% of crimes are like same race or same ethnicity. Like black on black crime, white on white crime. Most crimes are committed in the neighborhoods people live in. So let's just say if you go statistically and then you get past the statistics, there's 15% chance that a crime is going to be committed outside of that person's race, ethnicity, or their area. Why the hell are y'all so scared? You adore LeBron, you adore Michael Jordan, you adore Tiger Woods. If we're athletes, you adore us. You adored Muhammad Ali until he stood up for his rights. And then once he had Parkinson's disease and had fought himself because he was trying to continue to raise money for efforts to make this world a better place, when he had Parkinson's and no longer could barely talk anymore, you adored him again as the greatest fighter ever. You hate his personality, Floyd Mayweather, but you adore him for the money he's bought into Vegas, into the boxing world for lightweight fighters. You love Jay-Z now, but you hated him when he was a dope boy trying to change his life. You adore black men when they gain a level of success, but you fear us in the process of trying to get from the trenches that you put us in. If you can't accept us and build us up from the shit that you put us through, because we're not here by chance. We were here by force. It was called slavery. Why are you so scared of the pain that you built? And it was one of the simplest things. It's like, I'm thinking about if this wasn't in Minnesota, and this happened in Florida, specifically in Dade County, how would state attorney Kathy Rundle, how would she handle this? Would this even be a pursuant case? because we've had people shot down and gunned down and boiled to death in the prisons. But what's the fear? When you see me, I'm 5'9", stature of the same kind of football players that you adore on Sundays. The thing you're fighting for to come back, because you need sports, you need athletes, you need college football. The same people you're fighting for to play for you are the same people you fear when you see them on the streets. What's so scary about me? Why are you scared of me? That's what I want to know. I don't want to know why you adore the athletes that look like me. Why are you scared when you see me? When I'm the one scared of you. I didn't put you through slavery. I didn't put you through social and racial discrimination. I didn't build a systematic empire to take you down and to make you to be the boogeyman. I have not done none of that. My father didn't do it. My grandfather didn't do it. My great-grandfather was a slave. Once you get out of the greats, when you get into the greats, we're talking about sharecroppers and people that sat on there and worked for pennies to build your country. This is in Bruton, Alabama. Once you get past the greats, I'm talking about sharecroppers, and that's only 100 years ago. 100 years ago, working for 2 cents on the hour, giving back most of their profit. We just reclaimed land that was taken away from us almost 10 years ago. What are you scared of when you did the shit? You killed more people. You can't give us a list of anybody that the Black Panther has killed, but you have documented photos and public display of lynchings from the Ku Klux Klan. But you are scared of us? Maybe you're scared that we're finally going to get fed up. Maybe you're scared it's finally going to be enough. Maybe you're scared that in Minnesota, we're not just going to be throwing rocks and fucking up cars and ripping stuff down, but they're going to show up with them AR-15s and masks, and we're going to have guns, and you're going to realize you're outnumbered. Maybe that's what you're scared of. But when you see a black man, why are you so scared? What was so scary about George Floyd? Why did he have to die? You can't jog. You can't stand in front of a building. You can't walk to get Skittles. Doesn't matter if you can't breathe. They want you to die anyways. And I'm tired of black people speaking about it. If you're a white person and you're not speaking up on this, all I need you to do is be able to make a post that say, I would switch my life to be a black person any day because they get the same equal treatment, or I would prefer to have the lifestyle they have. Until you can say that a person that is of non-white descent has the life that you would like to live, your work is not done. There is no equality. Until you can say that there is no equality. Because I can get you 10 black men that say they would love to have the advantages and the lifestyle of a white man in America. But I bet you I can't find 10 white men that can say the same thing about wanting to be black or wanting to be Hispanic. I'm sorry, Toy.
No. There's nothing to apologize for today. All commentary is welcome. But I did want to give a resource about your question, why. So Frances Cress Welsing, rest in peace to her. She was a fantastic scholar, and she did a lot of research on this conversation of race in America. And her book, The ISIS Papers, dives into that on a whole other level with scientific, factual information. And a lot of what it boils back down to is genetics, self-preservation, right? Dark brown eyes, dark skin is dominant in the gene pool. So there's an aspect of trying to preserve something. So, but that's where the craziness comes in, right? Instead of appreciating the diversity of this planet, the diversity of the human population, you would rather kill than like appreciate and just let life be and do what it needs to do. When you think about purebred dogs, right? They talk about how purebred dogs are actually inferior because of their genes. Because they're purebred, they have more diseases, they get sick, and with the continuing to breed dogs that way, they just continue to deform.
Right.
Because Biology wants diversity. Biology wants mingling. Biology wants to continue to evolve and pick the best and continue to move. But when you have people who are into genocide, when you have people who are into, the word is escaping me, right? Eugenics,
Mm.
that's the basis of what this is. And it requires us to do a level of study that we may not have wanted to do. But in order to live and exist and to move and to make the right decisions, we have to know who we're playing against. When people say it's chess, not checkers, literally that's what this is. Why is the checkerboard, is the chessboard black and white?
Mm.
Like, why? You have to think about these things. Why? Why is a soccer ball black and white? It's everywhere. It is literally everywhere. And when you think about it, if you want to be a part of it, you're here, you're in this existence. And like I said, this thing has looked the same when it came to Africa. It looked the same when it showed up on the shores of Australia. It looked the same when it came to America. It looks the same. We need to open up our eyes and see it for what it is and stop having rose-colored glasses on. And you could just say it's a cultural thing, right? People always talk about it, how Black people are more spiritual. And it's because we come from a continent where there was abundance. We had rainforests, we had crops, we had growth. We weren't starving and fighting each other. We didn't come from that. So the idea of sharing is what we do. Even in the Americas, when they came to the Americas, the Native Americans were sharing. It was like, hey, yeah, come get some corn. We're good. Oh, but you're going to give me smallpox blankets and I'm trying to help you survive. That's how you operate.
Look, I know that was in these streets, and someone needs to hear this all wrapped into one. But the for the other Black men that are out there, just want to say this to you. The fact of the matter is, yes, I am tired. I am very tired today. I'm exhausted. We've had days like this for different topics, and normally I'm the one to call Dante and Toya and say, I can't do it today. I fought through to make sure I did it because someone probably needs to hear this. It's okay to not be okay. I'm tired. I'm scared. I'm frustrated. And somewhere in my mind, I don't know what has a higher chance of killing us, whether it's COVID-19 or law enforcement. And that's a messed up place because one is contagious and one is totally able to be in control. And I don't know which one is going to kill us more. For all my white friends out there, especially white males, would you change the position in your life to be a Black man? And if not, that in itself is the problem. Until you feel those positions are equal, you should be speaking up for equality. I shouldn't be fighting for myself, or I shouldn't be fighting by myself. You can't be a friend and see your friend drowning and say they'll figure it out. That's not my struggle. That's not what friends do. Friends help. Friends speak up for those that are silent. Friends speak up for the voiceless. And I've said this plenty of times, and I will say it again today. Quit asking a man to pull himself up by the bootstrap when you have not left him with a damn boot to pull himself up by. So I don't think I have anything to say besides Amy Cooper. You ain't nothing but the mistress of the devil by the stuff you did. Think twice, guys. Understand what law, like Latoya said, understand why law enforcement was put in place. And start thinking of how you can self-resolve some issues. And think about the consequences that can happen to a Black man when you falsely accuse him, or if it was Tommy, who you knew his parents around the corner, and if Tommy committed the same crime, how would you handle Tommy versus how did you handle George Floyd? It's just a little bit of empathy. The only thing I really liked about quarantine, Toya, is less people were dying because we were safe in the house.
Yeah. I mean, what is it? Like, and for the Amy Cooper thing, right? Just to comment on this real quick. When you look at what she did, she knew full and good and well what was going to happen from that encounter, which is why she threatened him like that. I know your weakness. I could pull your card. I'm going to call the cops on you. She knew good and damn well what could happen. And this is not to paint all white people as a monolith, right? Because we don't want to be painted that way. We know that that's not how everybody moves and how everyone exists. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about those who exist within that culture and have not been properly dealt with by their own family members. We was watching some footage from the protests that they were doing yesterday at the memorial site where George Floyd was murdered. And you had white, it was a good diverse mix of people that were there. And this was what I was going to talk about in these streets real quick. And into the protest, you hear four gunshots, pow, 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 pow. And everybody just starts, running around and everything like that. And then you just see it pick back up. And then that's when the rioting and everything starts. And it kind of comes back to know who you're dealing with and how things happen. You see protests move through this same process, right? People come together, they're mourning, they're sharing, they're exchanging, and then chaos just erupts from somewhere. And most of the time, it's not anybody who was there. It's usually some agent of chaos who was put there to cause chaos in that situation. And then it just continues to spiral out. Then you see the tear gas coming. So if we're going to engage in these public displays of protest, then we need to come prepared and we need to know how to move and to not allow outside forces to infiltrate and cause chaos on what we're trying to do. Shaun King, I know people have different things and feel about him different ways, but he just posted up on Instagram that he's going to be doing a series where he talks about breaking down the system and helping you to know what the system is, because you can't attack it as one thing. It's microsystems across the country that exist, and each one is a little bit different. But again, if you don't know how a thing moves, how can you catch it? How can you call it out by its name? So we have to take on some of this information. So I want to throw that out as another resource for people who are looking for information. Because I think, like I said, some people love Shaun King, some people hate him, it's whatever. But at the end of the day, it's about the information. It's about the strategies. And it's about being smart in how we move forward in these times.
I mean, this is my thing. If you hate Shaun King, who's going to do the work he's doing?
Yeah.
Who's outdoing him? Who gets the information out as fast as him? Who's making the impact? Because I don't see the NAACP doing the work that Shaun King is doing.
Mm-mm.
So I can't stand people that complain without a better solution. If you're going to complain, great. After the complaint, follow it up with a solution. Because they were like, oh, well, what is he doing with the money? I hope he's paying himself, because as much work as he does, I would assume it's very hard to have a full-time job.
Yeah, that research is insane, and the follow-up, because he talks about that all the time. So yeah, and apparently I think he must have a podcast called The Breakdown. So that's where he's going to be doing the series where and the first one that he did today, he's giving history on it. And then he's going to talk about strategies and solutions that people can take individually to enact action within their own communities.
And that's my only thing. Cool. If you don't like him, don't like him. But be him. Do better than him, or find somebody or show us a resource that's outworking him. Because I'm not trying to be funny. I don't see the ACLU doing it. I don't see the NAACP doing it. I don't see anybody outworking Shaun. So even if you don't like him, the information is there and he's made an impact, which the impact seems to be for the betterment of our community. Until you can show me otherwise, not trying to be funny, but a quick topic that was hot, and we can kind of close out with this, but I just want to say it. Charlamagne the God looks real stupid to me right now, because what Joe Biden said is what black people say in the privacy of their own homes all the time. Because if you are black and you are voting for Trump, I just want to know, how did he better your life? How did he empower your life? Or how has the Republican Party done more for black people than the Democratic Party? Remove your emotions and give me facts and show me these topics. Otherwise, I'm going to have to say that Joe Biden just said what y'all was thinking, and you just mad that he put it on the table like that. Because I don't remember nobody that was complaining saying, you know what, I understand why black people voted for Trump. I don't remember a single person saying that in 2016.
Yeah.
So,
No.
and to Puffy, Ice Cube, Charlemagne, and everybody else, y'all should have held votes hostages about, I don't know, 8 months ago when they started this whole thing. We had 20 different candidates. This is like bad dating situations. This Charlemagne is the person that goes on a date and somebody says, "Let's play the game, pick one," and he doesn't pick one and he adds something else to it. That's not how the game works, bro. You're not in a position where you can just start doing stuff and it sounds cool or it's controversial. We have two choices. And if you're gonna go with the lesser evil or whatever damn solution you're gonna go with, we are now at the solution of pick one. Trump or Biden. If you can tell me why Trump is a better candidate to be our president for the next 4 years than Biden, somebody is willing to listen. Otherwise, shut the fuck up, let these people vote for Biden, and let's get Trump out of office. It's that simple. Show me how Trump is a better overall president for the United States of America and for Black America, and then you can have your whole conversation. But right now, the game is called pick one. So for everybody out there trying to bash Biden for what he has done wrong in the past or his little mishaps, after you bash Biden, show me why Trump is better. Otherwise, it's one of those things like that one cousin that may not be doing everything right, and you just got to sit to the side and be like, but he's still family. Because unless y'all can show me a time period where you had 8 years under a Republican control where you benefited more than the 8 years under Democratic control. Show me that statistically, show me that factually, and show me where a Republican has ever in their life released a Black agenda platform. Ever.
Yeah. Yeah,
no. Charlemagne, I'm pretty sure Donald Trump won't even come on your show.
Right. And the greater conversation, right? So talking about getting him into office, but then it's holding his feet to the fire. And I believe that for me is more so where some of the like, really, that's what you're gonna say, kind of came from. It's an aspect of stop treating Black people as just your voter pool, and then when you get in office, it's like, all right, yeah, thank you guys, got me in, woo, 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 and I'm not really gonna do nothing. I think that's more so where the conversation is coming from, and realizing that that's how politicians have been playing us. So it's like, we're not gonna do that no more. Sorry, you got to come with some real solutions. How are you showing up for us?
But I get that. But if you throw that part in there, so let's take that part. But if you add to that part, Obama tried to do a lot of stuff, but because we weren't out there voting, most of the stuff he tried to do was killed by Mitch McConnell because the Senate was still controlled by Republicans. Right. So it's too many people that still don't understand politics that are having political conversations. Because most people that complain about stuff in politics, the things they're complaining about are actually controlled by state level governments, not even controlled by the damn president.
That part too.
So until people can't even take the time to write down what's wrong with you and sit down with a politician. Actually, write down the things you want to see change. Sit down with the white buller and let him tell you who actually controls the aspect of your complaint. I bet you most people will be surprised. Some of the shit they complaining about is controlled by a city commissioner and not even their governor. It ain't even got nothing to do with it.
All right, I was gonna say it's more commissioners, your police chief, and your judges, and your prosecutors.
So everybody that's sitting around and they complaining about gentrification happens at those city hall meetings that you don't go to because it ain't enough clout and it ain't no clout chasing in there. That's where that's happening. Right now in Pompano Beach, there's $1 billion project. You know how many people showed up to vote on it? About 15.
Right.
So the stuff y'all complaining about ain't even presidency. And I keep trying to tell political candidates, do a Poly 101. Explain what your office does, explain the things your office controls, and inform people how you're going to make change to the things you actually control. Because some people are speaking on national issues when they're running for city commissioner or mayor. You're not fixing a national issue, bro. Talk about the shit you're going to fix. Talk about parking tickets, something. But all that
you're your city block.
Yes.
Yeah.
People
it's real.
Quit it. Learn, read. All this stuff is you can actually Google what does a city commissioner do? What does a mayor control? What does a governor control? Because Trump is not controlling y'all money for unemployment right now. Rick Scott fucked that up 8 years ago.
And I was gonna say, and Trump kept throwing it back to the states. He's like, the states got that. Y'all, he supplies the states got that. Talk to the states. So clearly, like, There's levels to who controls what, and we just gotta do better. I think that's a takeaway for the day. The more you know.
The more, God, if it ain't the book, it's read. Just read. Just shut up and read.
You know.
Quit talking. Quit just seeing other stuff. Quit having fact debates when you don't know the facts.
The more you know.
The evil that y'all are complaining about. Guess what would happen if Minnesota was out there voting for a different police chief? You probably wouldn't have the same problems in place.
Right.
Think about those things. And
at least it was chiming in and then sit there and take the political spin on it. But yeah, but I mean, it's all about that. It's about showing up.
And by the way, I'm sorry, Toya. Amy K, you messed up, boo-boo. You missed it. Ain't no way you're gonna be our vice president and this just happened in your state. Wrap it up, call it something else, see if you can get a cabinet position when Joe get in, but you ain't it. Joe, I'm telling you right now, do not put Amy as your vice president. It ain't gonna work, bro. It's called public relations and brand management. She ain't it right now. That's in her state. She is not it.
Yeah.
So
well, we ran over time, didn't we?
Yeah.
Y'all ain't got it for today.
Y'all ain't gotta watch this whole shit. Y'all ain't gotta watch this whole thing. This was therapy for us. We needed all that screaming. I needed to get that out. Now after this, I'm gonna call my mom.
You had to work your throat shot.
Gotta get something out. Well, go ahead, take us out.
That's Mike.
That's Toya. And this is Tech and Bytes. You almost got it right. All right, y'all.